Yeah, you tell them something. Hey, how you doing? Good morning. This is the Off the Rails Sports Podcast. I'm here with Baseball Brian. Let's call you Baseball Brian, okay? Why
Sounds
did
good
you
to
leave
me.
all the other sports? Why did you focus on that?
Well, I guess baseball was the first one that I ever got into as a kid,
Right?
and you always go back to your one true love, right? And
Yeah,
I reached a point in my life where I didn't have time to pay attention and follow all the sports like I used to.
right. Yeah,
Just
right.
so I went
So
back to
you
my one
you
true
actually are
love,
the
and
one
I
guy
just always
supporting the dying sport.
yes, I,
The
I will
the
continue
last
to.
Mohican.
I mean, I was there when Babe Ruth was a rookie,
Yeah,
saw it through the war
yeah.
years.
Yes. Yes. God bless that Ruth. He
I
might
was
have a
there when
future.
Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier.
You know,
Uh,
it was crazy to think that Vin Scully was there when that happened. You know, when he was doing all those Dodger games in the
yeah,
2000s, 2010, and you're like, this guy saw Jackie Robinson hit the field.
yeah.
Yeah.
He was there before that even.
Yeah. Right. Right. The king. The king. All right. So we did on Friday, we did the AL East. We never really made our predictions on who's going to win the division, who out of that division is going to get to the playoffs. Real quickly, who do you think?
No, I said the Red Sox were going to win that division. That was my pick.
Okay, that's mine.
And
You got anybody else who's going to make the playoffs out of that division? Like 35 teams make it in the American League, so
yeah, it's getting very NBA-ish these days. I think the Yankees will end up getting a wild card spot. As beat up as they look, I think they're going to end up getting a wild card spot. They'll find a way in.
I am intrigued. I think the Yankees will, but I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by Tampa Bay. I don't know why. I look at that team and maybe they got enough pitching to get there. But let's move on. Let's look at the AL Central. Let's start with them. Uh, what's your overall assessment of this division?
It begins and ends, of course, with Cleveland. Uh, you go back to the '90s for for the old guys like us.
Right,
The kids out there might not remember that kind of a thing, but when they first built Jacobs Field and they put together this tremendous team, they've really been. I mean, they were garbage before that. That's why they made the movie Major League about the Indians,
right.
and ever since then they have been a legit contender. And
Absolutely.
they've had to adjust to being a smaller budgeted team over the last 15-ish years or so, because I guess some of the fanfare is worn off of Jacobs Field. They don't sell it out every single night like they did for like 12 years in a row. They don't have the revenue, but they still find a way to compete. They do it a lot through pitching and bringing up their own pitching, which is huge. Pitching does everything for you. If you can pitch, you're going to contend.
Well, I think they are. If you're looking at Major League Baseball, you have organizations like the Red Sox that bring up hitters. They're very good at cultivating hitters. You have organizations like Miami and Atlanta that bring up players on the pitching side and they bring them up at the dish. Cleveland is hands down the best pitching organization. They bring up monsters every 2 or 3 years, and everybody else is like, wow, where did they get that guy? I mean, Shane Bieber. I mean, that guy was nothing. And then all of a sudden, it's like they're putting juice in his arm or something. They are brilliant at bringing up pitching. I don't know what they do, but you know what? I wish the Red Sox could do it, but they are a
Well, yeah,
budgeted team. Go ahead.
but they budget wisely, and you go back even further. I mean, remember Corey Kluber came? Who heard of that guy? He won two Cy
Right.
Youngs with him.
Sure did. Yeah.
So
And the team starts and stops, I think, with Jose Ramirez. That guy who had the most, I mean, he was almost there at 40-40 last year. You and I were talking about that. And in a year
yeah,
when Otani got 50-50, it really got no notice at all. And the guy just had a stellar year. I mean, he's top 5 in MVP. I mean, the guy is just a monster. Kwan's a monster.
yeah,
To
yeah.
Go ahead.
Stephen Kwan is a great player who I think is uh, drastically underlooked by
Sure.
the whole country.
Well, I mean, the whole country's looking at the AL East, right? I mean, in terms of the
Right.
American League. I mean, and maybe Houston, but other than that, the we'll just see the AL Central and the NL Central when they get to the playoffs. If they get one or two teams, then we'll make an assessment. Let's move down. The Twins. I don't know. You made a comment the other day, and I thought it was really astute about the Yankees having an incredible amount of injuries. Man, they are like 1B compared to Minnesota. Everybody on that roster is out 30, 40 games a minimum a year.
That's true,
All right.
and that's all you got to say about them because they
Yeah.
don't have the replacements to make up for it,
No, they sure don't.
which is too bad. I've
You
never
know,
been. Have you ever been to Target Field?
I have. I've been to
How
Target
is it?
Field. What's that?
Because it looks really nice on TV. How is it?
It's kind of nice. It's I guess if I was going to compare it, it's an upgraded Anaheim Stadium. It's I don't know. It's the Midwest. The parking isn't really a problem. I would say in that division, I've been to Cleveland. I was in Cleveland when Mark McGwire hit a home run. Yeah, that's how long ago that was. Um, I would say that I've been to Chicago. That is just a dumpster fire. I would say Minnesota is an upgraded Anaheim Stadium. That's what I would write. All right,
All right,
let's move down. Let's go to the Royals,
move
which I
down.
think was one of the best stories of last year, a 30-win turnaround. They actually invested money and it paid off. I was so happy to see it. We were talking about it before the season last year. And I was like, man, I just enjoy seeing teams put money back into their team instead of crying, we don't have any money, we can't do anything, because I think it's all bull. But whatever. You and I can agree to disagree on that. What do you think about the Royals looking outlook for this year?
I think the Royals are going to be a contender for Cleveland this year. I think they're going to step it up and improve again. Uh, they probably have the they do have the best shortstop in the league.
Yeah,
Maybe he'll be a top three MVP guy, of course.
sure.
Uh, and they're a good team. They're one of those teams too that they build from within, and in the early teens they did it right and they hit with a bunch of guys and they got to the World Series 2 years in a row. I
Yeah,
don't know if they're going to do that again, but they're built. Salvador Perez is, that guy's like getting pretty ancient, so they got to upgrade the catching situation, and of course they always going to need some more pitching. But
you
they
know
are a
they
team on the rise.
well, they are. I mean, they did what I think a lot of these small market teams should really do is when these players are a year or two in, I think Milwaukee did it with Churio last year, is sign them to the 5-year, $50 million deal. Just take a shot. And honestly, if you hit on 1 out of 3, you're going to be money ahead because you don't have to pay that
Yeah,
$200 million contract. I mean, really, it's just a numbers game, really. They don't have the
you get him a
resources of the
few
big
years
teams.
beyond his free agency
Yep. Yep.
mark there, which is a couple more years of their prime at a rate you can handle, and then you got that in to look. We already extended you once. We'll extend you again, and hopefully,
Absolutely.
if it's all working out, then you can lock them in.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's talk.
Hint for the
What?
Orioles.
Yeah,
Hint,
no kidding,
hint for
huh?
the Orioles.
Let's talk about the Tigers. They did make the playoffs last year. I think legitimately they might have the number one starter in the American League in Skubal. He won the Cy Young last year. They ended Houston's run of seven straight ACLSs. What do you think of Detroit?
Uh, I think they will contend with Kansas City and Cleveland for the division. They're going to take another step forward.
Right?
Boy, that would have been a huge thing for them if they could have landed Bregman, I think. But it didn't
I
work
agree.
out. So uh, AJ Hinch has
Yeah,
done a pretty good job building that team the same way he did with Houston when they were building up out of the dumpster.
yeah. And it's
So
an easy
he's
division.
right.
Right.
So yeah, I think they'll be content. I would not be surprised if all three of those teams are neck and neck all season long.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and then we have the White Sox. How does a team only win 41 games?
I don't know, but I mean they had a pretty good run there at the end. Do you extend Grady Sizemore as the manager?
I don't know.
Fuck that.
He's got to be the fall guy for Jerry Reinsdorf and his clown circus. So, who do you like to win that division?
Well, I got to go with Cleveland, just because of their history and their recent history of being the best team in that division, and they haven't really taken a step back this offseason. And they should be getting Bieber back at some point, so that's just going to help them out even more because they pretty much went the whole season without him last year.
Right.
So I'm going to go with Cleveland to win that division.
I like Cleveland. I think their biggest threat is the Tigers. I like that they got Gleyber Torres. I think that's going to be a nice thing. But I think there's going to be some regression with the Royals. Their pitching staff was off the chart last year, and it's hard to imagine they do that back to back years. But I'm rooting for them. I like it. All right, let's head over to the West, the place where we live. What's your general assessment of the AL West?
This will finally be the year that the Astros don't win the division.
Yeah, I agree
There
with
you
that.
go. Called it here.
Oh, wow. Wow, hot take.
Yeah,
yeah,
Nostradamus.
yeah, you are. Um,
Uh,
they lost Tucker.
I'm going with the Rangers.
I think
The
I
Rangers
like
had
the
a down year
Rangers.
last year. Go ahead.
I like the Rangers to go to the World Series. That's how much I like the Rangers. The
All
Bruce
right.
Bochy effect, the every other year thing, right? Well, I mean, he won
Well,
a title every other year in Frisco.
that's right. The There's that. They got a great manager who knows how to keep his team together, especially in the postseason. But last year they just had a rash of injuries. Uh,
Yeah,
and I mean Corey Seager is legit, and he steps up his game so much in the postseason that when you get to the postseason, man, that guy, just watch out. He's almost like Barry Bonds.
yeah,
They returned Nathan Eovaldi, who is a really solid pitcher. He's going to spend some time on the injured list, but he's also a guy that guy will throw 8 or 9 innings. I mean, how rare is that?
very.
Uh, and let's see what Jacob DeGrom does. I mean, could you imagine if he comes back and he's 70% of what he used to be? That's going to
Well,
be tremendous.
it all starts and stops with Jake and DeGrom, right? I mean, he had three starts at the end of last year. He was lights out. We have heard that they're talking about, and I don't even know if this is legal, about putting him on the IL to space out his starts. There was some controversy with it. I really don't care. I think for this team to win this division, they have to get 20 starts out of DeGrom. I don't know how that comes. I don't know what that really is, especially coming back from Tommy John surgery. But I think their biggest threat over there is Seattle. Seattle, I think, has the best starting pitching of anybody in the major leagues, hands down. The problem is they can't hit. I think we may need to get you out there with the swing there, brother.
I could I could I could teach him how to hit.
Yeah,
But
okay. Well, that's all they
I
need.
could teach him how to. But yeah, I'm not big on Seattle. I never have been. Uh, I still think Houston is going to find a way to contend. I mean, if you think about it,
Mm,
they've been an ALCS mainstay for all these years. Uh,
right,
and if you look at it, the first year they made the playoffs back in the teens till this last year, Jose Altuve is the only one that's still on the roster. So
right.
they have turned it over and maintained a level of greatness. So uh, I think they're going to maintain still a high level, but this year I do think they start to take the step back. They're losing Bregman and Kyle Tucker. Altuve, they're moving him out to the outfield, and that looks like a shit show. But
Yep.
the dude can probably still hit 300.
Yeah,
Uh,
I get it, but I mean, you're right. They're losing. Look, they've lost Verlander. I mean, they're losing players. I mean, at some point, when you keep having all this minuses, it's like literally my math test in fourth grade. Everything had a minus. Okay, miss, 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 miss. Eventually, it adds up, and John gets an F, and so do the Houston Astros. I think they're. I don't even know. I mean, look, there's so many teams that get to the playoffs they might quote unquote attend contend, but I don't really see them being a threat to Seattle or Texas in this division.
well, I think they're going to be able to beat up though on some of the weaker teams, and that'll keep their record up there where they can contend for a playoff spot.
All
That's what
right,
I think.
talking about the weaker teams, let's talk about your thoughts about the Angels and the Athletics.
Uh, okay. I'll put the Athletics ahead of the Mariners. That's where I feel about that one.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, I don't like it when you drink before you start your day.
I
Oh
know.
my
Well,
God. Oh, come on.
we
No,
shall see.
Brian.
We shall see.
Okay,
You can
that's
be
why it's
all
a
high and
prediction
mighty
show.
on the Mariners and their pitching staff.
I
All right,
am.
go ahead.
I'm telling
That team
you.
couldn't hit their way out of a paper bag,
I ain't
and
arguing that.
the the Athletics made some moves this year. They signed some guys. They extended a couple of guys that they had that were coming up that are showing some real promise. You watch.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be something about this playing in Sacramento thing and being like the homeless nomads or whatever for the next few years. I think something is going to like it's going to be one of those movie type scenarios that kind of like the team is bonded and gelled together. And I could be totally full of it. I have no idea what I'm talking about, but that's kind of what I'm seeing into it. And I think they're gonna shock and be better than a lot of people think.
First of all, I've been to that stadium in Sacramento, and it is literally a minor league field. There's no stands really in the outfield. That's one of the things for Tampa Bay and Oakland or what Sacramento or Athletics or whatever they're going to call themselves is. I wonder how the hitters and the team is going to adjust to, you look at major league stadiums, they have huge stands in the outfield to break the wind. I mean, we know that we have hitter parks and whatever. I don't think we have any clue what major league hitters are going to do in that park. I think it is going to be an interesting experiment, and I cannot believe. I mean, honestly, it's like the Lakers playing on a YMCA court. It's like Jesus Christ, how is this happening in baseball? How come they couldn't extend the lease for 3 more years in Oakland? It's because John Fisher is just a POS and he's a terrible owner, and Oakland just had enough. All right.
Concur.
Okay. And our home team, I
We're
guess.
talking about what's going to happen on the field. So I
I
think
know.
the
What I'm saying is, I don't think we have any clue what that stadium is. I don't know if you saw that that 50th anniversary Negro game last year, and they played it in Birmingham, and literally it was a launching pad. I mean, it was like batting practice. I mean, I think they had 5 or 6 home runs in the game, and I'm thinking, is that what's going to happen in Sacramento or Tampa Bay? I don't know. We're going to find out.
all right,
All right,
find out,
and let's finish up with the Angels. I know you got something to say about them.
man. This is the year.
Oh God. Oh Lord,
Wear
help
your
us.
red, man.
Yes,
Wear your red.
wear your red. Yeah, for Trump. Yeah, okay. You know, I feel the same about the Angels and Trump. Yeah, okay. So,
Make the Angels great again.
oh my God, yes, that'd be nice. Let's go back to 2003 and Mike Scioscia. We get him out of the
Uh,
hospice. We get him out of there, you know? I look, I
well,
applaud.
okay. Go
Yes.
ahead. Give me your hot take on the Angels, our favorite local team.
You know, look, I applaud them spending money, but they just seem to spend money in all the wrong places. You know, this is like Urban Cowboy, looking for love, looking for ball players in all the wrong places. I don't know, I'm seeing a team with the greatest player in the last 20 years who's not named Shohei Ohtani, and this guy is never going to get to the playoffs, and it just breaks my heart. That's it.
All right. Well, you're right. This team is we've we've talked about this plenty of times, man. They try, they just try and fail way too much.
Yep,
They're not will. You can't accuse the Angels of not being willing to spend money.
I agree.
It's just that they seem to be cursed with everyone they want to sign ends up not working out.
Yeah.
Uh,
But I mean, isn't that some point you've got to fault management? If you
well,
have
of
guys
course.
picking all the wrong guys to sign, at some point it's not, oh, we just have bad luck. Maybe you just have incompetent management.
Maybe, but I mean, it's not like they're the only teams making offers on all these guys that they end up whiffing on.
All right. Yeah, I
So,
guess. Rondon, Hamilton, Pujols. Let's just go down the list. I mean, really, when's the
yeah,
last time they signed a free agent that actually produced? Yeah, I
Reggie
know.
Jackson.
Babe Ruth. All
Jeez.
right, so who do you
Well,
have winning this division?
my biggest
Yes.
hope for the Angels though this year is that we can see Mike Trout play
Yes.
130 games, hopefully more than that even.
Yep. Yep.
If he can do that, I think. I mean, it's terrible to me the fact that you see all these lists coming out from ESPN or the MLB Network or whatever, and they say the top 20 players, and
Right.
he's nowhere on the list anymore.
No.
I mean, that's
No.
incredible to me.
Yeah.
Uh, because because if he's on the field, he's still a top five player, I believe. So hopefully we can just get him playing and going back to being Mike Trout. That would be a great thing for not only the Angels but for everyone.
You know what? We're not going to see Mike Trout again. That those days have passed. But I would really be glad to see Mike Trout light, where we're going to get a guy who hits 25 home runs, hits 80 RBIs, and like you said, is on the field for 120 to 130 games. I don't know if that's plausible, but I'd like to see him go out and have a semblance of the greatness that has been him for the last 15 years. That's it.
Yes.
All right. So
All
who do
right.
you got winning this division? Texas?
Texas with
Who else makes
potentially
the playoffs?
Houston making a wild card.
Oh boy.
Potentially Houston as a wild card team.
This is going to be
I
a
know.
battle between Texas and Seattle. Houston, maybe. I don't know. You know, just a bunch of misfit parts.
All right.
All right. Well, that's our predictions for today. Wednesday or Thursday, excuse me. We are gonna dive into the Julio Arias and Trevor Bauer thing. So, hey, you better watch.
Hot
Hit
takes.
that like and subscribe. Hot takes. Yeah, exactly. All right.
Hot
We'll see
takes.
you then and have a good day. All right.